Imagine a world where a handshake is a contract, silence is gold, and loyalty is paid for in blood. This is the world of the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club. They are the most famous, and to law enforcement, the most feared outlaw motorcycle gang on the planet. For decades, the Hells Angels have maintained a ruthless and powerful empire spanning continents. But there is one force they can never truly outrun: the law. Today, we're not just talking about police chases and arrests. We are dissecting the intricate, often violent, and always calculating relationship between the Hells Angels and the justice system. We'll explore their ironclad code of silence, their sophisticated legal tactics, their deep-rooted prison economy, and the relentless decades-long battle waged by law enforcement to bring them down. This is the story of how the devil's disciples deal with the law. Stay tuned, because the reality of how this club operates, both on the street and behind bars, is more structured, more brutal, and far more complex than any TV show could capture. The law versus the code, structure, and secrecy. To understand how Hells Angels deal with the law, you must first understand the bedrock of their existence. The Code of Silence. The Hells Angels Motorcycle Club, HAMC, is structured like a corporation, but it operates like a military unit. Their organization, with international presidents, chapter presidents, vice presidents, sergeants-at-arms, and prospects, creates an airtight chain of command. This structure provides a crucial layer of insulation for the club's leadership. When a lower-ranking member or a prospect commits a crime, it rarely leads back to the high-ranking officers. This intentional segmentation is their first line of defense against legal RICO statutes and conspiracy charges. The Code of Silence, or Omerta. This is their crimson rule. You simply do not cooperate with law enforcement. Any member, past or present, who speaks to police is branded a rat. And the consequences for breaking this code can be terminal. The Hells Angels code is simple: never rat, never back down, and always protect the club. It is this absolute loyalty that makes prosecuting them so incredibly difficult. The legal counterattack, attorneys, and RICO. The Hells Angels don't just rely on silence, they invest heavily in a sophisticated legal defense. When a high-profile angel is arrested, the club's treasury often funds a team of high-powered, high-cost attorneys. This is more than just representation, it's a tactical use of the legal system to delay, confuse, and intimidate. The club knows the law, or at least they know how to hire those who do. They are experts at exploiting procedural errors, tying up cases in pre-trial motions, and presenting themselves in court not as a criminal syndicate, but as a group of misunderstood motorcycle enthusiasts. The RICO Challenge. Law enforcement's most potent weapon against the Hells Angels in the United States is the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations, RICO, Act. RICO laws allow prosecutors to target the entire organization rather than just individual crimes, by proving that the club operates as a continuing criminal enterprise. This is the key to bringing down the top leadership, like when Harry Taco Bowman, the former international president, was finally sentenced to life in prison for RICO charges, including murder, drug trafficking, and conspiracy. The RICO conviction acknowledges that the club itself, and not just the men in it, is the engine of the crime. Behind the walls, prison is another chapter. For the Hells Angels, prison is not a place of rehabilitation, it is another territory to be controlled. When an angel is caged, their status within the club doesn't vanish, it merely changes venue. High-ranking angels often command immense respect and fear inside correctional facilities. Their reputation for violence, their network of associates, and the club's financial backing provide leverage over guards and other inmates. In many prisons, Hells Angels are instrumental in running the black market. They facilitate the movement of drugs, contraband phones, and control gambling and extortion rackets. This allows the club to maintain a constant income stream, even from behind bars. Maurice Mom Boucher in Canada is the classic example. As president of the Montreal chapter, he arranged a campaign of violence, culminating in the murder of 2 prison guards in 1997. Even while serving a life sentence, his name was invoked with such dread that many believed his influence persisted outside the walls. His story proves that for some angels, prison is just a change of address for their criminal operations. The turning point: snitches and informants. The greatest threat to the Hells Angels structure and code comes from within: the rat. The rare, terrifying moment when a member flips and becomes a prosecution witness. The entire club's stability rests on the code of silence. When a member breaks it, the legal system gains an unparalleled insight into the club's operation, the meetings, the orders, the participants in the violence. David "Dave the Hammer" Atwell, a former member of the Toronto Hells Angels, is one such name. While his decision to cooperate put him in endless danger, his testimony provided crucial details to law enforcement, revealing the inner workings of their drug trafficking and violent plots. The response from the club is always swift and brutal. Otis "Buck" Garrett, while already serving time, was allegedly convicted of ordering the murder of a mother and her children in retaliation for testimony against the Angels. This is the ultimate chilling message to anyone considering breaking the code. Loyalty is enforced with death, and distance does not offer protection. The Canadian battlefield. The legal landscape in Canada has been fundamentally shaped by the utter brutality of the Hells Angels. The Quebec Biker War of the 1990s, where the Angels fought the Rock Machine, left over 160 people dead, including innocent bystanders. This level of violence forced Canadian law enforcement to evolve. Figures like Walter Nugget Stadnick, the former national president of the Canadian Hells Angels, were convicted on sweeping narcotics and conspiracy charges, often using new legal tools to prove the club's criminal nature. Then there was the chilling internal elimination, the Lennoxville Massacre of 1985, where 5 Hells Angels were executed by their own brothers. Régent Zigzag Lessard, who was central to this event, was sentenced to life. This violence demonstrates that the greatest threat to an angel is often another angel, driven by internal power struggles, with the law serving only as the cleanup crew after the blood is spilled. The modern hammer: life sentences. Today, the battle is not an artifact of the past. Recent convictions show law enforcement is still successfully dismantling key chapters of the HAMC. Consider the recent case of the Sonoma County, California chapter, where 3 key members, Jonathan John Nelson, Brian Wayne Went, and Russell Rusty Ott, were all handed life sentences in 2024 for racketeering, murder, assault, and witness intimidation. These recent convictions prove 2 things. The club's core activities remain unchanged. Extortion, drug trafficking, and murder in aid of the club are still standard operating procedure. The legal response has hardened. Prosecutors are leveraging RICO and other conspiracy statutes effectively, targeting not just the man who pulled the trigger, but the entire enterprise that ordered and covered up the crime. Ott, Wendt, and Nelson's sentences are a modern testament to the fact that the violent core of the Hells Angels will always clash with the rule of law, and the outcome is increasingly a life behind bars. The story of the Hells Angels and the law is a relentless decades-long war. The club uses silence, loyalty money, and sophisticated legal counsel as its shield, while law enforcement uses RICO, conspiracy laws, and the testimony of rats as its sword. When an angel goes to prison, whether it's a high-profile leader like Frankie Breeze Tumillo in New York, a feared enforcer like Jacques Pelletier in Quebec, or a member tied to a brutal internal cleanse, their incarceration doesn't signal the end of the war. It merely means a new battlefield has opened up behind the walls. The power dynamic, the code of silence, and the influence of the club continue to operate in the shadows of the concrete and steel. The Hells Angels are a criminal organization defined by their defiance of the law. And as long as they operate, the fight will continue. On the highway, in the courtroom, and in the darkest cells of the penitentiary. What do you think is the Hells Angels' most effective defense against the law? Their code of silence or their legal teams? Let us know in the comments below. If you want to dig deeper into the criminal world of outlaw gangs, make sure to like this video and share it. And don't forget to subscribe for more true crime and history deep dives.